Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Cuz You Don't Know Football. And guys, we finishing up the Fatal Flaw series. Okay, it gets no more realer than this. Okay, well, what's going on today? Listen, the world's not ready for it. Okay, and we finishing up. Of course, we got Mooch back in the building. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. What's up, man?
Okay. Sorry, I was over here talking shit a little bit.
As always, as always.
So. Of course, you know we in the Fatal Flaw series, and we gonna finish telling now. Well, last time we did the AFC teams. Now we going to tell the NFC teams why all of them are going to win the Super Bowl. That includes your Eagles, just to let you know. I'm about to get down on your Eagles too. Okay. Uh, so yeah, we gonna get started. I like the flow of going with who I thought was like a little bit worse, and then building from there. So I kind of like that. So we're gonna stay with that. So we're talking about who's going to be worse. Let's start,
Mm-hmm.
let's start with these New Orleans Saints. So of course the New Orleans Saints they
Okay.
lost a lot this offseason. Derek Carr's retired. Honey Badger's retired. Listen, I don't know what direction they go in there. Kellen Moore, I don't know why he took that job. As I told you, I was just glad it wasn't a black guy who took that job. With that said, what's the if we're gonna limit it to one, what's the fatal flaw of the New Orleans Saints?
I mean, the one that sticks out is quarterback play. It's either going to be Spencer Rattler or what's his name? Tyler what's the name? I
Joe
can't
or Shao. Yeah.
Chow, whatever. Not whatever. He has I respect his name, but I just didn't know how to pronounce it. Um, but I don't know that either of them are NFL caliber quarterbacks, as the starting level quarterbacks. This might all be part of a plan actually to tank basically this season and get the number one pick next year so that they can draft their quarterback, their actual quarterback of the future, because I don't see it for either of these guys. There's a lot of holes on the team. And there's a lot of conversation that can be had about any position really outside of maybe like offensive line, which seems to be a bit of a strength for them, but quarterback play is their fatal flaw.
You know, that's funny that you said both of those points because yes, it's a quarterback. The whole thing is bad. Okay, I can't say what's their fatal flaw because the whole thing is bad. But I was literally going to say if you're gonna be bad, be real bad. Okay, like don't play with it. Like go on that side of things and say we are here for this year. Okay, so I respect that this looks this bad because there's not a position that I look at and I say it's anything above okay. And and that's really just wide receiver, and everything else to me just looks bad. So
Well, even wide receiver, I mean, Olave is one concussion away from his career might be over. He's had like five concussions in the last two seasons. Like he's I would not call that a strength simply because one bad hit and he might not play ever again. So I can't even point the passing game as being like something that's a strength. I guess game one, it'll be a bit of a strength.
yeah, so that's what I'm saying. He'll at least be there. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
that was it, but I'm not gonna spend too much time on them.
yeah.
Um, so who else is really bad in the NFC? All right, we'll go with the Panthers. They were pretty bad last year.
I think they're going to be improved significantly. So I don't know if they'll actually make the playoffs, but I think they'll be very very improved. My fatal flaw for them is their secondary, because outside of J.C. Horn, I can't really pick out any other cornerback or safety that actually is better than okay. So I'm gonna go with their secondary.
Yeah, so my fatal flaw for the Panthers was they just don't have a solidified star anywhere. And I think to really win a Super Bowl, you have to have stars at certain positions. And I don't think they have a necessarily star, and I don't really think they have a true identity yet. I think they did a good job of moving towards that last year. In the middle of the year, they definitely moved the ship towards obtaining that identity and stuff like that. But that was last year still, with that said. So this year, I got to see what they come up with an identity. But yeah, they don't really have anything, any stars that we think Bryce Young is going to be a star, but
Mm. Actually, I think their running game is going to be pretty good with Chuba Hubbard, and they invested a lot in their offensive line, especially the interior offensive line and around the guards and center. So that might be where they end of the year that might be what their identity is.
okay, okay. So let's go over with them Giants.
Um,
That's not looking too great. What's the New York Giants fatal flaw?
um, there's a few. I would say I'll go with running back. Um, they might end up starting Cam. What's his name? Cam Scatterbo, the rookie out of Arizona State.
Well,
And
right now he's listed at third on the depth chart.
but he's okay. He's been getting play time, and like who's the starter then? If it's not
Tyrone
Scatterbo,
Tracy Jr.
okay. I
and
mean,
then
I guess
and then
he was
Devin
fine last year.
Singletary,
Yeah, he was fine last year.
and then Devin
Um,
Singletary is the backup right now.
okay, one of those two is not going to be on the final 53 man roster, I would guess, because I think they like Cam Scatterbo, even though he runs like a 5'1" 40. But I'm gonna go with off their running game.
You said running back was theirs.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. And it's crazy because I actually think that legitimately they could have the best defensive line in football. And that's the only
yes,
thing, like
yes.
that's legitimately they could. And it's the only thing I could say great about them. Them that and Malik Neighbors. Um, it's hard to pick one, but if I'm going to stick with one that I say is definitely going to cripple them, I'm going to say quarterback. And you know why I'm going to say quarterback? Because Russ went in the first I'll say like 4 years of his career, 4 or 5 years of his career, he looked like he had like a Hall of Fame trajectory, like,
Mm,
and then we found out real fast, oh, it's because he had the Legion of Boom and and beast mode, So now I'm looking at it, I'm like, you brought him in to do what exactly? And this is kind of what my issue with when people like get like a bridge, not a bridge quarterback. I just would rather teams be worse if they're going to be bad. And there's nothing about that move that screams they're going to be. It moves the needle for them. The defensive line is great. Um, they need a lot more work, and you got to be bad to get the draft picks necessary to come in. Sorry.
yeah. Problem is the head coach and general manager are on their last legs.
Mhm.
So if they're bad, that means that they're gone.
But
And
they're
so they
going already. Then the season's over. They're
well
going.
they should have been fired after last season. And everything start new. When you draft a new quarterback, you bring in new coach, new GM to like so that you have something solid for the next 3, 4, or 5 seasons. Between quarterback, GM, and head coach. Right now, they have the toughest schedule in the league, and they're trying to bridge this like build for the future, but also win enough games to keep their jobs. That doesn't seem like a recipe that will ultimately work.
Yeah, and it's decisions like that I don't understand because you're right and everything you said, but that means they're just going.
Yeah.
That's all you say. We said all that to say next year Giants are gonna have a new head coach, new GM, and they're starting from scratch from there.
Yeah, and with a quarterback who they drafted who they traded up for to draft in the first round the year before, who the new regime didn't draft, and so like, what does that mean for Jackson Dart? So like, it's not good team planning, and this is an ownership problem. Like ownership should have seen this and been ahead of that. So yeah, but yeah, I do want to say like that defensive line is going to be legit, like probably the best defensive line in the league, and that'll be fun to watch at least.
Yeah, they're gonna be a strong. I mean, they're gonna be a strong 6-win team.
I mean, given the talent on their team overall and their schedule this year, like 6 wins might actually save their job, save the coach and GM's job, to be honest.
I don't think so, but whatever. Okay, moving right along. Let's talk about those Seattle Seahawks. So
Seattle. I still don't like their offensive line. I'm gonna go with their offensive line simply because they drafted a guard in the first round this year who he's just I mean until he demonstrates that he's legit, I'm gonna withhold judgment on what he
Fair,
ultimately will
fair.
be. I almost want to go with quarterback because Sam Darnold is just not it. And I know everybody keeps pointing to last season and it was 14-3. Look, last season in Minnesota when they were 14-3, he's throwing to the best receiver in the NFL, either the best or second best receiver in the NFL, and his head coach is a quarterback savant. Like he knows how to get the most out of quarterbacks. That's it. That's what he does. And they had a good offensive line, and they had other weapons around him other than Jefferson. So they have none of that in Seattle this year. It's a bad offensive line. Jackson Smith and Jigba is their best receiver. They have what's his name from the Rams? Who's the receiver that was on the Rams last year?
Oh,
Who was
Cooper
at one
Cup.
point the best receiver?
Cooper Cup.
Yeah, Cooper Cup. Like Cooper, they have Cooper Cup, but he's old now and slower. I just don't understand the move to spend that much money on the quarterback at all. I know I've spoken more about Darnold than I did about the offensive line, but I just want to get that off my chest. I don't understand what's going on with that situation.
That's okay, because I'm going to continue it with Sam Darnold right there, and I'm gonna leave it right there. So this is why it's stupid. This is why you need to just understand where you are and be honest with yourself as an organization. Let me give a little soliloquy. Remember when Domino's came back out and they said the first thing they said was, you know what, our product sucked, and they were honest about that, and they told you it sucked, and we're going to be better now. This product is it sucks. And the problem when you get a Sam Darnold and you pay him all that money, there's a world. See, here's the thing: there's a world where they actually make the playoffs. Now, it might require Matthew Stafford being hurt and his back being worse than what they're set talking about. But there's a world which they make the playoffs, and in the world where they make the playoffs, this means nothing. It just actually is worse. Like that's almost a worse outcome than making the playoffs than them winning 2 games because now they can't get the resources that they actually need, and there's some quarterbacks in this upcoming draft. They could fix everything wrong with that's really wrong with their team in next year's draft. It's not that many holes, but you have to admit that you're bad. But so I say all that to say.
Yeah. They're bad on offense. It's a shame because the defense is going to be legit this year, I think.
Yes,
But the offense is just not
Jackson Smith and Jigba,
the
he's gonna
quarterback
be
and
real
offensive line.
good.
Yeah.
Kenneth Walker, he's gonna be good. You know what I mean?
And I'm saying their defense is going to be really good this year,
No,
I
I was
think.
just adding. I was just saying that to add
Oh,
on to
gotcha. Yeah,
not
yeah, yeah.
just the defense, but them too.
Yeah.
So they have a lot of
I,
shining spots.
I understand what happened. Geno Smith was like, I don't want to stay here. I like trade me because you're not going to pay me the money I want to get paid. So trade me. And so they were left trying to figure out the next quarterback. I just think they should have. They didn't have to invest so much money into a quarterback like they did with Sam Darnold. I know they can get out the deal after this year, but that's like it's still $38 million or whatever it is for this year that they're paying for quarterback. And I just don't know, like you don't have to do that. They didn't have to do that. They could get the same production that they're going to get from Sam Darnold likely from a quarterback that they spend $15 million less.
Yes, and they'll be a little worse this year.
I don't even think it'll be worse. I think it's going to be about the same. Like
That's
there's
just, that's just awful.
I mean, like I'm trying to think of a quarterback who would like they could have signed Russell Wilson or they could have signed what's his name who's the backup in New York now who was drafted by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers years ago.
Oh, Jameis,
James they could have signed
Jameis,
Jameson Winston,
Jameis.
yes. They could have signed him for a lot less money, and yeah, like he's not great, but I think it's going to be about as good as what Sam Darnold's going to give you right now.
And they could have ate dubs all year long. You see what I'm saying? Just been chewing on them. You
They could have
see?
been chewing on
You
dubs.
see?
They'd be entertaining. Now it's just Sam Darnold seeing ghosts. Who wants to see Sam Darnold see ghosts? Anyway, go ahead.
All right, all right. So we're gonna move right along, and we're gonna get to who we want to get to next. Let's get to let's get to the Chicago Bears. Let's see what's up.
Um,
So fatal flaw, Chicago Bears.
yeah, like who are their running backs? I
Um,
don't even know.
it's DeAndre Swift is one, and then the other ones I never heard of.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go running back again for them. I know it's not the most important position, but they need something because it's still a young quarterback who's learning and a young quarterback who's learning a new offense. So like being able to rely on a running game would be helpful. Um, they're not. I don't know that they're great anywhere, but I think offensive backfield running game is where they're the worst.
Um, well, last year for the Bears, they actually I was really high on the Bears last year. I expected a lot more from them.
I thought they were the last playoff team in.
Yeah, I thought they were gonna. I put them in the playoffs. Um, now with that said, what I'm gonna go to in terms of the fatal flaw is coaching because when you bring in a new rookie head coach, who's never been a head coach, it's like you're at a disadvantage. They're at a disadvantage no matter how you want to spin that. They're at a disadvantage in terms of a head coach because he's never done it. Okay, so Ben Johnson, I expect great things from him. I want to see what happens with the culture. I don't have answers in terms of the culture. I don't have answers if he's able to solve what's wrong with Caleb Williams. I don't have answers to what he's going to do with overachieving with that defense now because I think the defense was also a little worse than people thought it would be. So I'm going to go head coach until I see improve. I'm saying head coach because I don't have any answers about anything else on his roster.
That's fair. That's fair. I mean, like rookie coaches have some success, but they got to hit the ground running. And like to your point, you never know until you see it. So
You know what? That was a good one. I had to make a note of that. We're gonna put that into we're gonna write that one up. Okay, that was a good one. All right, so let's go. Let's go with America's team and your team, the Dallas Cowboys.
my team, nah. Um,
Fatal flaw, Dallas Cowboys.
so they're similar to the Bengals when we talked about the Bengals before. I can't tell if I want to go with defensive line or offensive line. I think I'm gonna go with defensive line for them, just like I did with the Bengals. Um, they, in particular, stopping the run. I don't think they can do that. Point blank. They drafted, I forgot the guy's name. He was out of Michigan, I believe, a year ago.
What
And
position?
he in the first round. Say it again.
What position?
Defensive tackle. I think like Mozzie Smith. I think his name is. Um,
Yeah,
he he just hasn't come through. And developed. I think actually they drafted him two drafts ago. He just hasn't developed. And they can't stop the run. And that's actually a thing that matters these days in the NFL versus like 4 or 5 seasons ago when it was, if you couldn't stop the run, you could still be successful through the season and into the playoffs and contend for Super Bowl. Now you got to be able to stop the run, especially in the NFC East where you got like Saquon Barkley and a few running quarterbacks.
yeah, yeah. So I hate to point to the same things, but like I was once again going back and forth between quarterback and head coach. Um,
For the Cowboys,
for the Cowboys.
quarterback? Wow.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Fatal flaw?
Let me
I mean, I'm not saying Dak is like the
okay,
best
I'll stick
quarterback.
right there. Let's stick right there with the Cowboys
Okay.
and the fatal flaw being the quarterback.
Okay.
This is what happens when you pay a good quarterback great money. You see, Dak Prescott this year is getting paid the most amount of money in the NFL. Okay? There's no one getting paid more than him. The problem is these things that you're pointing out as flaws, and you pointed out you highlighted about 3 or 4 of them. He's got to compensate for them. He does not have the ability for that. He is great when he can step into a situation and more or less not mess it up. He can overachieve in that situation. He looks, you know what I mean? So on another roster, another situation, like I'm trying to think of a good one while I was thinking I wasn't prepared for that. But if he's stepping into a situation in which he doesn't have to carry anything, if he doesn't have to compensate for the holes and stuff like that, Dak Prescott he could win a Super Bowl. In the situation where he has to fill in the blanks and we got to rely on you and we're Dak Prescott centric, he underachieves in that every single time. So, yes, the fatal flaw is the quarterback position for the Dallas Cowboys.
Okay. I mean, you put a compelling case forward. I think their offense is going to be really good this year. I think you're going to see that they've been able to put the pieces around him on offense. It's dicey on offensive line. I'll say that there's some injuries, and they're just not the offensive line that they're accustomed to having. Um, we'll see. I think they're going to put up a lot of points and a lot of yards and be entertaining on offense and give up a lot of yards on defense.
So, let me ask you a quick question. So, if you were just to guess, how many pass attempts per game do you think that Prescott is going to be averaging?
I mean, I don't know what he did last year. I would say it would be more than last year though. Let's say in the 30s.
Okay. So that's the problem. So yes, I
I mean,
agree.
look,
And
two
that's
se
the problem.
2 seasons ago, entering December, he was the MVP of the NFL.
2 seasons ago, entering no, what year you mean when Lamar won it?
The year Lamar won it, it was Dak that was playing the best quarterback, being was the best quarterback in the NFL, and then it fell apart. And it was I'm not taking that off of his plate because he was the quarterback, so that a lot of that is on him. I just there are highs that Dak has that not a lot of quarterbacks can reach. You're right. He is not the best quarterback in the NFL. And so to be paid the best quarterback in the NFL money is not a good allocation of resources. However, that's the Cowboys role. I should mention just to say it, Parsons is not playing yet and is threatening to
I
hold
thought
out.
about
So
that right
like
there too. I
if
thought
he
about that.
doesn't play, I would say him, but I'm just going to assume that this is going to get worked out like right before the season starts, and some kind of way, either he gets a new deal or he decides that I'm gonna play the season out and then try to get force a way out after the season. I'm gonna assume that he's going to play this year, so I'm not gonna name him.
Actually, I almost could rewrite or redo the whole thing and just say the fatal flaw for the Cowboys is dysfunction. Because
Yeah.
they ain't set up nothing in terms of culture to basically be like, we like each other, we understand each other, we go, this is a fluid thing, we understand nothing about this makes sense. So no, absolutely
And,
not.
and I just don't know why Jerry Jones does this with his best players, where like he pays them too late, and that means that he's paying them more. Like the reason he paid Dak the money that he paid him is because he waited to the last moment to pay him. Same thing with CeeDee Lamb, and the same thing's gonna be happening with Michael Parsons. He's gonna end up paying these players. He ends up paying these players five, six, $7 million more than he has to, simply because he plays around or something. I don't even know why he does this, but he waits to the last minute and then gives them the absolute most money that's like, at the position that they're playing when he doesn't have to. Anyway, go ahead.
Okay. All right, cool. So next, we're gonna go with these San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah, so like what they have so many injuries at the receiver position right now that I'm gonna say that at first I wanted to say defensive line, because they're very young and it's sort of like they're kind of reshuffling the deck on defense, especially on the defensive line. But like, what's his name?
Who you talking about? Nick Bosa?
The no, the receiver, the one
Jauan
who's
Jennings?
their best receiver, but who's
Oh,
out for
Brandon
the
Ayuk.
Ayuk. Yeah, sorry about that. Ayuk is out till at least like week 6, right?
Mhm.
And he's coming off of a torn ACL, so even when he comes back, he's not going to be playing at 100%.
Mhm.
Um, Ricky Pearsall is coming off an injury. Although it looks like he's going to be ready for the beginning of the season. The other receiver, though, has like some kind of calf issue or
Jauan
Achilles
Jennings.
issue. Juwan Jennings. Now, people think that he's kind of just playing around because he wants more money, and he might not actually be hurt, and this is like a holding kind of situation. I think he's actually injured. Like I think if it was a holding situation, somebody would have called him out for it on the team, or you'd hear some rumors or something about that. I'm going receivers because a lot of what makes the team successful, his like over the course of Shanahan's career, has been his ability to put points on the board. And I don't know how they're doing that with no receivers, and defenses can key in on McCaffrey.
Okay. Yeah, and McCaffrey is another injury too.
Yeah, his calf Achilles could just explode in the
So,
next game.
so fatal flaw for the 49ers. It would be very easy for me to go quarterback again and tell you I told you so about Brock Purdy, but I'm not even going to go there. I'm actually going to go with believe it or not, the defense. And Fred Warner, amazing. Everything else on that defense, to include Nick Bosa, I'm not sure if Nick Bosa is really that guy anymore. Like he hasn't been really. If we're gonna have a real honest conversation, he hasn't been the premier sack guy in the NFL or like something you have to necessarily take away to beat the 49ers in like 2 years. So
Sure, I
um,
agree.
I think the defense might have more of an allure than a factual actual factuality to go on with them with their ability to stop people. So I just think there's going to be a lot of pressure put back on Brock Purdy, but I think the defense is going to let them down a little bit this year. So yeah, I think that's what's going to hold it back.
Yeah, it's gonna be weird because I don't think they're very talented overall, but they have the easiest schedule in the league. So like they could end up being like 11-6 and look their record will look good, but they'll get to the playoffs and get blown out in the first round because they're not actually that good.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to. I don't think that's what's in the future for them. Be honest with you. So same thing I said about Dak Prescott, about like filling in the holes and the blanks and stuff like that. I feel the exact same way about Brock Purdy. Like,
Yeah, I do too, but like we had this conversation last year. I'm not. I'm done trying to separate quarterback from system and head coach when the head coach is like basically the offensive guru. That all goes hand in hand. And while Brock Purdy by himself, like if he was on another team, I don't think he'd be nearly as successful as he has been. But with Shanahan is the one who fills in all the holes. He's the mastermind of it all. I know he's the coach not on the field, but like he's the one who actually makes it all happen.
yeah, but I mean, like, good conversational piece, and I agree to a point. And that point always comes to when a defense can compensate for your quarterback, the defense can just compensate for your quarterback. And when the quarterback has a ceiling and the defense figures out your ceiling, I don't think there's good enough coaching. You got to run the ball. You got to do something else now. You know what I'm saying? Like you
Yes.
now have to do something else. You better do some screens, some quick throws, something. But like you be like, oh, I can figure you out. Well, then you just figure it out. I'm sorry. Like,
If Brock Purdy didn't play in the Super Bowl and get to the overtime against the Chiefs, I would agree with you 100%. But we've seen how that plays out. Now, the team was really good around him. I'm not taking
one of
that
the
away
greatest
from him.
rosters ever. Like,
I mean, I don't know about all that, but it was a very good team
one
around
of the
him.
greatest rosters ever. What are you talking about? Like this defense
What do you mean ever?
at that point, see, at that point, Nick Bosa was now a 14 sack guy per year. No, that
There
defense
wasn't
was
even any all like there might be like one all pro on that team. What ever? You mean ever? Come
that
on.
was one of the great. Yes,
Calm down.
yes,
Calm
yes,
down.
yes. The offensive
Why?
line, running back
How?
Christian McCaffrey was at his peak. Wide receivers all over the place.
What?
Defense
What do you mean
stopping
wide receivers
everybody.
all over the place? It was these are two very good receivers, absolutely, but they're not like neither of them are all time greats. What do you mean?
George Kittle was right there. Absolutely. George Kittle is bad now. So George Kittle is bad now.
So you're putting that roster up against like the 94 Cowboys? Like what are we talking about? The 90 89 49ers? Like what are we saying here, man?
So all right, so
Ever?
I'm not going to go that deep into the rabbit hole because that's a whole that could take a long time.
Ever?
But yes, but to answer your question, we talk about just rosters. Yes, and the reason why you can't see it is because they lost. Just like inversely, the reason why you can't hold on, the reason why people can't see that the Chiefs roster was like the worst roster to ever win Super Bowl is because they won. So it's harder to see the truth about both of them
Those
because
aren't the same conversations. The worst roster to ever win a Super Bowl and best roster ever are not the same. Are not this.
I said
They're
it was
not even the same
I said it's one of
conversation.
the best rosters of all time. Absolutely. I'm sticking on that. I'm standing on that. So that roster, and then you could also put last year's Eagles roster as one of the best rosters ever also.
No, what are you
Yes,
talking about?
yes, yes. These rosters are amazing. These rosters are incredible.
I got move on, move on.
Yeah.
Talk about recency bias. My word.
Listen, everything in the
Best
past can't. All right,
rosters
stop. Hold on, hold on,
ever,
stop. Hold on, listen,
ever.
listen, listen.
They don't have
I
one
grew up.
player
Listen,
who's
I
a.
grew up in the '90s too. Okay, I know it happened in the '80s. Everything in the past can't just be better, just for
I'm
what it
not
was.
saying that. I'm not saying,
That's all
but
I'm
you don't.
saying.
But there is not a hall. There may be name two Hall of Famers that you think will be on coming out of that 49ers roster.
Hall of Famers?
Yeah.
George Kittle, Fred Warner.
Not even maybe Fred Warner. Sure, I give you
George
Fred
Kittle's
Warner.
not a Hall of. All right, you're gonna be wrong. Okay,
No, he's
I'm not even
not.
going into that. You're going to be dead wrong about that.
He's never been the best tight end in the NFL.
He's been number two for like the last 10 years.
Number two don't get you into the Hall of Fame. This is not the basketball Hall of Fame. This is the NFL Hall of Fame.
No, you talking
Everybody doesn't get
basketball
into the
fans.
Hall of Fame
Listen,
in football.
basketball fans. I didn't say that he said.
There's no Mitch Richmond getting into the Hall of Fame for the NFL. Okay. That happens in
Basketball
basketball.
fans,
That's
this
your
isn't
George
me.
Kittle right
This
there,
isn't
Mitch
me.
Richmond. George Kittle is the Mitch Richmond of the NFL.
I didn't say that. When
I
it
don't
gets out
believe
there,
you just
when it gets
said
out there,
the
just know I didn't say that.
49ers had one of the best rosters of all time.
Okay.
That is
Yes.
oh my God.
Yes. Yes.
Go. Just what's the next
Okay.
team? What's the next team?
All right. So the next team, next team we'll go with is the Atlanta Falcons.
Do they have
What
the best
is their
roster of
fatal
all
flaw?
time? The last 10 years? What do you
No,
think?
they do not. Fatal flaw. Say
They
the
don't
next
have a
team
pass
for
rush.
Atlanta Falcons. Fatal flaw.
They don't have a pass rush. They drafted two defensive ends who they are praying provide them with a pass rush. I think I don't. They haven't had a 10 sack player since a guy named Vic Beasley from like 2014 or
I
2015.
remember Big Beasley. You don't have to say a guy like he was on the Super Bowl roster. He was there. He was the guy on the 27-3. Like he was the guy, he was the pass rusher. Vic Beasley.
Okay, got you. Well, they haven't had a 10 sack player since him, and that's their problem. That's the biggest problem.
So I'm going tight end. And I'm going tight end because people keep telling me again, once again, Kyle Pitts is supposed to be this guy. And I tell people, listen, if you get a tight end, he has to block. Okay. If he cannot block, stop talking about him. Okay. Make him a wide receiver because is he not good enough to be a wide receiver? Or is he a tight end? Because if a tight end blocks, I'm sorry to tell everyone that, and he is a liability in that, and he's not even as I thought he was going to be so much better, like going up against linebackers and stuff like that. He's been, and I'm hearing stuff about him again. So yes, tight end. That is the fatal flaw. That is the ceiling because, and he better be great. He better be great. He better be great. That's all I got
Oh
to say.
man.
He better be great.
I agree that he hasn't been. I don't. He hasn't really been good. I don't know that you need. Look, the best of both worlds is a tight end who can block, but like Kelsey isn't a blocker.
Nah,
He doesn't block.
he's decent at it. They
He,
schemed him. They schemed in the situations where he does block, and yes, he has been. They have shown film of him blocking and being like, all right, he can do this at least
I mean,
averagely,
I've
at
seen
least
they show me.
averagely.
I've seen the clips of Kyle Pitts getting in people's way too, just like Kelsey gets in people's way.
Like
Anyway,
was
anyway,
what was the tight end that was for the Saints and he was amazing? Jimmy Graham. Remember
Jimmy
Jimmy
Graham,
Graham?
yeah,
You
yeah.
remember he was with the Saints. He looked amazing because all he had to do. What happened when he went to? We never heard from him. Jimmy Graham may not have ever had another good season. The second he had to block,
I mean, I don't even know anybody ever
gone. The
asked him to block, to be
magic
honest,
was
but
gone.
yeah, he was barely a tight end. Like I remember because he held out to be paid like a wide receiver and not a tight end. I remember that. Yeah, Pitts' problem is that he hasn't figured out how to what you said. He hasn't figured out how to beat linebackers and safeties, which he was coming out of college. He was supposed to be this like huge, fast guy
Yeah.
that's supposed to be able to beat a safety and a linebacker, and he hasn't been able to do that.
Yes, that was supposed to be a problem. Like, oh, you're gonna put a safety or a linebacker. Oh, this is an easy decision.
Yeah, or a corner where he was just solely too big for them, and that just wasn't the case.
And he's none of the above for any of them. So I'm tired of hearing about him. And I keep trying to tell people, you don't build a football team certain ways, and a tight end that can't block is not the way you build a football team. You do it that with what you
So wait, so the Colts drafted a tight end who doesn't block
he
too.
blocks
Right?
very well. We talking about Tyler.
See.
You saying
This is
what are you talking? He did everything.
no, he didn't block. That's the thing. People look at him and be like, he's big, he got long hair, like he's like George Kittle, and therefore he blocks. I'm telling you, go look it up. I'm not gonna even continue the conversation. He doesn't block. The guy from Michigan who's Chicago drafted is a better blocker than
No,
him,
he's
even
not.
though he's small,
Now you're just being
even
rude.
though
Now
he's smaller than him.
you see, and I want the world to know.
You
You see, he be saying
go
stuff.
look,
He be saying
go
stuff to
look,
just hurt
go
me.
find.
He be saying stuff to try to just hurt me, and I don't know why he be. Why would you do that? Loveland is a better blocker now. He don't. He's the problem. I don't know why
No,
Chicago
no,
picked
no,
him
no, no,
first.
no, 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 no.
This is
You fell for the narrative
here we go
because
again.
Warren got long hair and he's big.
Tyler Warren don't
You
block.
just assume that he can block. He don't block. He didn't block at Penn State. He played quarterback sometimes. He ran the ball sometimes.
He
He
did.
didn't block.
Okay, we'll see. We shall see. All right, we're probably gonna hold it there, and we're gonna take five, and we'll finish this up. This is fun. I have to admit this. This is pretty fun. You ain't like that 49ers.
Is it still recording?
Yeah, I'm still recording.
All time? Come on, man.
One of the all-time rosters, man. Just get to it. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. You just don't see it because they lost.
No, that's not a thing. It's not. They are not the greatest wrestler of all time.
I
I
didn't
don't
say they was the
understand.
worst roster of all time. I said
They're
they.
not one of like I mean one of the top 175 rosters of all time. Okay, sure, one of the top 175 rosters of all time. Maybe I can get down with that.
However you want to spin it, they was one of the best rosters that you could put together, and you're not going to be able to do too much better than that as an NFL GM.
I'm not even arguing against that. They that was a well put together roster. I agree with that. That's not one of the greatest rosters of all time. That's not like you have all Hall of Famers or all pros across the board. They had like two
No, they had more than two.
all pro
Yeah,
that season.
yeah, they had Nick Bosa, they had Fred Warner,
I'm gonna look it up because I think you're
they
just I
had
think I think you're naming names right now and people who have been all pros before, but were not that year. Was it
Trent
2023?
Williams. The offensive line was crazy.
No, they weren't. The offensive line is weak. Outside of Trent, that's their whole thing, though. That's the
Not
Shanahan
that
part of it
year.
all.
After that year, not that
That's
year.
the Shanahan part of it all. Outside of Trent
Oh
Williams, it's a whack offensive
boy.
line.
Oh boy. Let's jump in with those Minnesota Vikings. I think that's a good team to start with.
I think
Fatal flaw. Forgot to say that. Fatal flaw.
yes, yes, yes.
Minnesota Vikings.
I think it's their cornerbacks. In that I don't know who they are. I mean, I know they have like Byron Murphy Jr. By the way, I think this is a team that I think it's a really talented roster. So there's not like huge weaknesses. But I don't think that they have like I think that's their secondary is their weakness. Like between Byron Murphy Jr. and I think they have like Jeff Okuda. They're trying to like get the last remaining bits of talent out of him. Isaiah Rodgers, who was a backup for the Eagles last year, might be starting this year. So, I'm gonna go with their cornerbacks.
Yeah, they have Byron Murphy. The nickelback is Makai Blackton. Isaiah Rodgers is their other corner. Jeff Okuda is there, but he's not listed as a starter right now.
Okay.
Um, nope, I'm staying at quarterback. I feel as though when they drafted JJ McCarthy, they drafted a guy at quarterback instead of the guy at quarterback. And I think they're about to find out no matter how talented of a roster you have, if you got a guy at the quarterback position, it's not going to matter. I'm looking at them, and I am looking at them and sliding out of the playoffs from last year too, for that same reason. So,
Yeah. Obviously injuries and all that you can't really tell. Again, that head coach gets the most out of quarterbacks, so I'm going to trust that he can do it again with McCarthy. I can be proven wrong, but I'm gonna believe that McCarthy will be okay this year, and that offense will be good enough to get to the playoffs.
okay, sounds good. Um, cool. Let's go with the Arizona Cardinals. I can't believe they made it this far back. I'm actually pretty shocked. Okay, Arizona Cardinals, fatal flaw.
Yeah, I'm gonna go their secondary again with their secondary, just like with the Vikings. They're gonna, I think they're gonna try to start two rookies at corner, Will Johnson and Denzel Burke, and that's a lot for for rookies to step into. So I'm gonna go with cornerback.
Um, I just feel like they got too many what ifs to actually talk about, hey, a Super Bowl win. Like Marvin Harrison Jr., we think is going to be a star. Is he a star?
Do
We
we
think.
do we still think that? Do we still think that?
Well, I
First
mean,
of all,
he's a second year.
Why did he bulk up like that this offseason?
I think he looked at it. I mean, I didn't talk to the man, but
I know.
I would imagine someone bulks up because they said I have an advantage, either an advantage there that I want to really exploit, or I have a disadvantage that I need to rectify. So,
It's just like I was like he bulked up like his biceps. Like why do wide receivers need big biceps?
because you're
You know,
trying to
like
finish in the end zone, don't you know?
yeah, well, he has to catch the ball first. He has to get open to catch the ball to get to the end zone, and he didn't do enough of that last year.
Um,
Anyway, I agree that like there's a lot of what if with the Cardinals, even with the quarterback with Kyler Murray. Yeah, there's people who think that they're actually going to contend for the playoffs. I don't see that with them.
I have them in the
I just
playoffs.
I think they're a year away because they have a lot of young talent that I think just needs more seasoning and some more experience. I think they'll get that this year, but they'll end up being like a 7 or 8 win team.
I just think they're a team. When I looked at them last year, they're just a team that, like I said, it's not a whole lot of talent, but they played well together. You know what I mean? They didn't lose. There weren't a lot of subtractions from last year's team. They overachieved last year. If like their record was like it was better than you think. Like the Arizona Cardinals last year record was. I forget if I look it up, I'll get the answer. Um, but it was like I want to say they won like 8 or 9 games last year.
Yeah, and they signed Josh Sweat from the Eagles as a free agent. They might have overpaid for him, but they got him. He's on the field. He's on
Yeah,
the team
yeah.
now.
Either way, I think they're a team that plays well together. I'm just saying they got a
And they
lot
won
of
they won 8 wins last year. So
yeah.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I just think that the their ceiling is low because we think a couple people might be better than they actually are. So yeah, but no, I have them in the playoffs this year.
Don't put money on it.
I got them in there. Um. All right, let's finish out the NFC South, and we're just going to do the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Fatal flaws.
Um,
Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
I'm having a lot of defensive secondaries are whack this year. But I'm gonna go with their secondary as well. They don't really have the talent that they used to have,
Mhm.
that they're used to having. And with Bowles as a coach, he likes to blitz a lot, and that means those cornerbacks have to be able to, and the safeties too have to be able to stand strong. And I just don't know if they're gonna be able to do that this year. I think that they're gonna take a step back from what they were last year at it.
So my only question is do you think Hassan Reddick is gonna be able to do anything with them?
I mean, he'll do more than he did last year,
I
which was
mean,
nothing.
yeah, I mean, but like it's
Um,
been 2 years now. That's all I'm saying. It's been 2 years now.
Yeah, I mean, look, he could, I could see 6, 7 sacks from him. I mean,
Okay, so then I'm sticking. If it's 6, 7 sacks, I'm sticking exactly what I was going to say. The you're saying the DBs is the problem is going to be their fatal flaw. I'm saying the defensive line is going to actually be their fatal flaw. I'm not seeing where explosive plays are going to happen from this defensive front. Um, so Vita Vea is the biggest name, but he's not a pass rusher at no stretch of the imagination. He is a
yeah,
run stopper,
and he's getting up there in age too.
and he's getting up there in age. A lot of hype. I mean, once again, it would have been very easy for me to say. Now, it would have been very easy for me to say Baker Mayfield because exactly how I feel. But I want to give Baker at least an opportunity to show me something this year. I never really felt like what he did in the past seasons with Tampa Bay really was about him. And I feel as though the limitations there. And I have not forgotten what happened with him in Cleveland. And put all that together, I'm like, maybe I need to at least give him a chance. You know what I mean? So I'm going to be more optimistic about Baker Mayfield going into the season. So that's why I didn't pick him. But defensive line is where I'm saying they're fit flaws.
Yeah, Baker's basically forced me to respect him because I was with you up until last year of like, yeah, the success he's had has really been about the players around him, than has been about him. But I mean, you put 2 seasons back to back like that together.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I'll
Like,
give him I'll give him that credit.
are we say? Are you? I mean, so basically, you kind of. I think it's a little bit of column A, column B, but did he make the playoffs? Because and he helped that. or did he make the playoffs because he's in the NFC South? And I think it's a little
I,
bit of
I,
column A, column B, but
yeah,
you got to
but
give him some credit.
I think he was part of the reason why they were successful.
Yes.
They weren't winning in spite of him. They were winning in part because of him.
Yes. So, okay. So, with that said, let's jump into let's do the Washington Commanders.
So I think they're going to take a big step back this year. I can't really pick between anywhere, any specific part of their defense. I think their entire defense is just going to be whack this year. The linebackers are old or very specific in what's the guy's name? Sorry, middle
Von
linebacker.
Miller,
No. He's on the end. Who's the starting middle
Bobby
linebacker?
Wagner.
Wagner. Bobby Wagner. He's like 35, 36 years old. Same for Von Miller on the defensive line. Luvu, who's like, he's serviceable and he's good in some areas, but he's not like a complete linebacker. They trade for from the New Orleans Saints to play at cornerback?
Oh, Marshawn Lattimore.
Lattimore, yeah. He was
He's
getting
good, not
cooked
great.
last year. He was getting absolutely
He's
cooked.
good, not
Like
great.
AJ Brown liked playing against him. Like, in like a real asshole kind of way. Like I own you kind of
Uh-huh.
situation.
Uh-huh.
So it's really all across their defense. They're old and they're not very good in any one particular area. Like it's like a low ceiling, low floor kind of a team, like defense.
Okay, okay. So no, I definitely can see where you're going with that. I just feel as though, honestly, if they're predominantly more like, all right, we got to run the ball. I hate the fact that Scary Terry is looking like he's not going to be there. That is more of what it is, but I think they'll figure that out. But for me, and by the way, I want to shout out Bobby Wagner. Because he might go down as one of like the most underrated middle linebackers of all time. Like he's been like great for like a long time. Like, not
Yeah,
just good,
no.
he's been great for like a
What I,
long time.
what I said had nothing to do with
I know, I
his
know,
whole
I know, I
career.
know. I
Like
just wanted to shout
he
him out
is
because I feel like that when you said it, I was like, people don't really get that. Like Bobby Wagner was like great for
nah.
like
Like
a
Bobby
long
Wagner's
time.
probably going to be in the Hall of Fame.
No, he's definitely gonna be in the Hall of Fame. Um, my fatal flaw for them is going to be, yeah, I'm just going to say the whole defense. And I don't think it's a bad defense. I think it's a defense. I think it's a defense that has to be covered up. You know what I mean? I think it's a defense that has to be hidden. You got to run the ball.
How do you hide a whole defense?
You can, you can, you
You can
can,
hide
you
a
can,
safety. You
you
can
can.
hide a defensive tackle, but the
Listen,
whole
if I'm
defense.
gonna not answer that question. If you control the clock and you're running the ball and you're having long drives and you're not really giving, that will force the opposing team offense to have more explosive plays and have to do stuff like that. That's how you hide the defense. It's happened in the past. There are teams that hid their defense based on their running ability and their quarterback play. That has happened. Um,
So tell me, who's their starting running back?
Um, it's what's it, the rookie guy? It's well, right now it's Austin, I think it's Austin Eckler, but they just got rid of Brian Robinson. They just traded
They
Brian
traded him to the
Robinson
49ers.
because
Yeah.
they were like, I'm happy with whoever the other running back is.
Yeah, I think his name is I got it right here.
Jacory,
Ja'Cory
Jacory,
Krosky Merritt.
yeah, 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 him.
It's crazy. I heard his story. So he had to sit out last year because so the year before in college, whatever college he was at, he redshirted, right? He was like a redshirt sophomore or whatever.
Mhm.
But and I mean this specifically, he separate from that gave somebody on his team his jersey to wear during the season. That violates NCAA rules. So like literally the red shirt goes to the shirt that the jersey. So he had to sit out the next year because his teammate wore his jersey.
Ah,
How stupid is that?
wow. I'm not even going into all of the stupid things that I think about the NCAA.
Yeah. Anyway, he's their starting running back. They apparently like him a lot. I'm not convinced that they can that the Commanders can hide the whole defense behind that running game. But Daniels is a very good quarterback and can run very well. So we will see.
We'll see. Um, let's go with the Green Bay Packers. So
So
now we're giving. Now
I
we're really get. We're now we're into the really good teams now at this point. So
yeah. So my fatal flaw for them is their defensive line, but I want to say that the fact that they don't have a true either a dominant receiver at whatever receiver position or a good X receiver who can beat cornerbacks off of press coverage on the line of scrimmage. I really like that's going to always hold them back. I think Jordan Love has the ability, like he has this way of playing quarterback where he could get hot over the course of like he could do like an Eli Manning style playoff run where like he looks kind of trash for most of the season
mhm.
and then
I know what
just
you
get
did.
hot and
I
be
know what
just
you did.
throw like remember that the playoff game that he had against the Cowboys in Dallas
Yep.
where he just destroyed them. Like he could have three or four back to back to
Like
back to
Dallas
back
was
playoff
looking
games
at
like
like they were
that.
like a Super Bowl contender that year, and
Yeah, I like he could do that, right? Um but the rest of it, like he's gonna be kind of up and down like that. The fact that they don't have a receiver to be like a dominant receiver, I think is always gonna hold them back. This season though, their defensive line, like a lot of the draft picks that because they were always built through the draft, especially their offensive line, and most of those picks have not lived up to their draft positions. So I'm gonna go with their defensive line.
yeah. So I had the exact same note because I feel as though for me, if they had another legitimate pass rusher, I would be more calling for them to be like, oh, that's who could be who can definitely represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. Even I still feel like without it, I still feel like they're a dark horse, but I don't see without it how they're going to beat like the Rams or the Eagles. But if they had another pass rusher, I'd be like, all right, because I feel as though their roster is solid everywhere. Um, it's just you have to be great there. Like you just do.
Yeah, they don't rush pass all that well, and they don't really stop the run all that well either. Yeah, the defensive line is their worst position on the team, I believe.
Yeah, but I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't hate their wide receiver core, bro. I think the wide receiver core is actually
They're fine.
I think that's a more times than not. So take the Eagles out of this. The wide receiver cores that are like winning Super Bowls and being in Super Bowls, like they look like this. They're not extraordinary receiving cores.
I also like all right, take the Eagles out. Like when the Chiefs were winning, like they did that. I guess they won one with like I guess, but Rishi Rice was a very good rookie, and before
Rasheed
that
Rice.
it was
Okay,
Ty
so
Hill.
I take the Eagles out. Is Rasheed Rice on the level of either one of the Eagles wide receivers?
I think he's on the level of Devonta Smith.
All right, so he's the second best. So they won the Super Bowl with a number two wide receiver as their number one wide receiver.
Yeah, yeah. I so tell me this: we don't know who the rookie Golden what he looks like yet.
He's a rookie.
Do they have a receiver on their team that on any other team would be their number two receiver and they could contend? Like that would be a legit receiving core? Because I think they have a bunch of number threes.
So Romeo Dobbs has been holding down that situation for them, more or less.
Yeah, but like I think he's like he definitely wouldn't be the top two in Philly. I don't know that he would be the top two in any of the like the pick your top eight contenders. I don't know that he would be one of the top two receivers on
I
any of
mean,
them.
I, would he? All right, so if he was on the Chiefs, would he be the number one option?
Now with Rishi Rice, no.
I think that's a
Uh,
conversation.
Rice is going to be suspended, so he ain't gonna be there for a little bit. But
Right, I get what
nah,
you say. I think so. Like they have a lower end number one wide receiver. I don't know if we go as far as he's a number two wide receiver. I think he's a
Romeo
starter.
Dobbs.
Yeah, I think he's a number one wide receiver. I mean, you got to keep in mind, like, so what was Doug Baldwin? Remember him from the Seahawks? Like, he wasn't like great, but he was a number one wide receiver.
Nah, that was a team that had a very, very dominant defense. And No, I'm not giving you that
Doug Ball was not a
one.
good
But
name.
I know factually that team won a Super Bowl and he was their best receiver. I agree that is correct. That team was not reliant on the passing game like Green Bay is reliant on the passing game. I'll say that.
I mean, yes and no. So if you look at like his attempts, if you look at Jordan Love's attempts, like he's attempting like 24, 25 passes a game. It's not I'm not saying that like yeah, no, look it up. No, please do look that up. Uh and I'm not saying that to basically say like it's not like critical for them, but what I'm saying is they take advantage more of I'm trying to think of how I'm trying to word this. They're more situationally taking advantage of you than they are just like just throwing the ball so many times a game. But they, like 24, 25 times, was that about it?
29.
It was 29. Okay, you looked it up. Okay. Because when I looked at his stats, especially going down the stretch and look at those games, he was absolutely throwing it like 24 times, like 23 times even. Um, it was
I
more
mean,
like
I don't
it
even
was
know,
very. I
and
even
I
made
don't
the
know if I don't
comparison,
know if Russell Wilson was throwing 24 times or 29 times for that matter.
but
But I,
even
I
made the
take your point. I take
comparison.
your point.
So last year, I even made the comparison to like how many times like he's throwing the ball to like how many times Lamar Jackson is throwing the ball and what they're doing offensively to kind of take advantage of people. Because that's kind of what it was. Lamar Jackson's not throwing the ball 29 times a game.
No, he's not. But also, I don't. Romeo Dobbs isn't the best receiver in Baltimore either.
Eh, I don't know. I don't know.
Maybe Golden is the guy, and he takes him over the top.
Maybe.
I'll hold out for that.
All righty. We will next go to let's go to the Los Angeles Rams.
So like right now, the quarterback's back is really messed up.
Mm-hmm.
So Stafford, like I'm going with Stafford and
Mm-hmm.
his health.
That's fair. That's fair. That's
Because
fair.
he's he's an older quarterback. He's like a stationary quarterback, right? Like he doesn't run, and his back hurts. This doesn't seem like a recipe for success for him to play the entire season. Now a healthy Stafford, I'm probably picking them. I'm picking them to go deep in the playoffs. But if he's either not playing or his back is hurt and his back is tight and he can't throw the ball like he usually does, I'm gonna make him my weakest link for the Rams
And
until he proves
honestly,
me otherwise that he's
yes,
healthy.
and you can leave it there. Um, and I'm not mad at that. Now, I wanted to come up with something else, and the truth of the matter is, the fact of the matter is, I really like their roster. And outside of the Eagles, I think this roster construction has been top tier. Like it's been far and away better than 98% of anybody ever, especially coming from when they mortgaged their future to win a Super Bowl. And that usually takes about 10 years to break it down. They never even missed the playoffs since then. Um, so I really, really, really love their roster. And so if I'm not going to go there, if I'm not going to go quarterback, then I'm still going to go with pass rush. And
Really?
I felt like they were a team before Stafford got hurt. I love Jared Verse. Jared Verse is amazing. I feel like once again, if you're going to talk about a Super Bowl, you need two legitimate pass rushers. You have to have two. You can't like the Chiefs did it, and everybody else but the Chiefs found out. Oh, the Chiefs ain't like the Patriots 10 years ago. Figured out. Oh, we can win it with one pass rusher, but everybody else has to have two pass rushers. Okay, I'm sorry. Um, you
I mean,
and I feel like they should.
I kind of like Braden Fisk though. Like I think he's legit.
I felt like they should. They were another team that should have been talking to the Bengals and saying, "Hey, listen, we you know that Trey Hendricks guy. He doesn't seem happy. Can we get him? Can we work out a deal? Get him here? Then I'd be like, okay. So No, I'm not going with Fisk in terms of that. Jared Verse is amazing. He's amazing. I'm like, oh wow, I'm really impressed with him. They need another pass rusher. Or I could have very easily just agreed with you and said Matthew Stafford because his back is so messed up and he's like 38 years old.
Yeah, I kind of took the easy way out on that one because he's a quarterback
I
and
had to find
old.
something. I knew I could
Yeah,
say Stafford. It was just I had to come with something else. The rest of the roster's good.
very true.
Um,
Very true. I like their roster. I agree.
okay, so that wraps up the NFC West now. Wrapped up the NFC South, NFC West. Okay, well, we're down to the last two. Well, let's go with these Detroit Lions.
Um, hmm. So off the field, I'm going to say they lost both of their coordinators who
Hmm.
became head coaches.
Hmm.
I watched this happen with the Eagles, and nothing good came out of that. They lost like the last 7 games or six of the last 7 games. They lost, got embarrassed in the first round of the playoffs. So off the actual field of play, I'm gonna say losing their coordinators is and replacing those coordinators is their biggest flaw. And I think that actually is their biggest flaw. On the field, their center from last year, who was the best center in the NFL last year, retired.
Hmm.
I'm going to say center is their weakest link. Not only because he was
Shout
an
out to
all
the
pro and was
Senators.
the best one, but also because of the importance of a center like that to a quarterback like Jared Goff, who really isn't going to be moving around and isn't doing all of the checks and stuff. Like having a center like Ragnow was, who could help in setting up like who's blitzing, what's the alignment, what's the play going to be. He loses that. They're trying to replace him. It's not going to be the same. And you have an immobile quarterback who is prone to making mistakes in Jared Goff. So on the field, I'm saying replacing Ragnow at center.
Yeah, so fatal flaw, Detroit Lions. I really feel like they got some cracks that so my fatal flaw for the Detroit Lions, it's fear. And I'm afraid of a couple different things. One,
Their fatal flaw is your fear.
of their team construction, yes.
Okay.
That's my fatal flaw, which you want me to say, okay? This is what it is.
Hey, you
So
say what
first
you
of all,
have to
they
say.
also should have they also I feel like they also should have gotten Trey Hendrickson. A lot of teams should have tried to figure something out.
You know what?
They never
Actually,
did.
I think what has happened is a lot of teams tried, and the Bengals either don't like all the offers or a combination of not liking the offers enough and really wanting to punish Hendrickson, are just saying no to the trades.
That would just be stupid if that was the
I
case.
mean, look, as we're learning with the Cowboys, winning is not always the priority.
And punishment is
Putting being entertaining in the world sometimes is the priority. So, like, having holdouts and stuff
so
like that
yes.
might be it.
So what I'm saying is fear. So I have a fear that one, I have a fear that Jared Goff is more limited, even though I think he's better, he's improved from his time with the Rams. My fear is that he still is limited. My fear, just like you said, is that they lost both their coordinators. They lost both their coordinators, bro. And they have to figure. I don't know what these coordinators can do and what they can't do. I have a fear about Dan Campbell as a head coach too. I know he's a very good at cultures, and building a culture. He's a very big rah rah guy. I don't know if he's a good X's and O's guy because he found the best X's and O's guys to be his coordinators and they're gone. I don't know if I have faith that he'll be able to do that again. You know?
Hmm.
So yeah, it's fear from all of those things. Now I looked more critically at the Detroit Lions because I felt like last year and the year before they were really close to being there. So for me, I wanted to really take this in, but yeah, I think they might have a limited quarterback. I think they should have got another pass rusher. Their coordinators, both of them, offensively and defensively, are going. And I still don't know if their head coach is a good X's and O's guy, but hope he got it right this time again for the second time in terms of his coordinators. We'll see.
Yep.
See, that was good too. See, you gotta just give me a chance. You know what I'm saying? You just gotta let me go. Yeah, when I said fears, you was like, "This is stupid," and now afterwards, now you see.
I don't know what I see. I don't even know what just happened.
Okay, so rounding out the Fatal Flaw series. Jamal, yo, you just sat through the whole Fatal Flaw series, man. This is man. You know you are groundbreaking. Do you know that? Do you know who you are right now? We
Nah,
gonna
I forgot.
we gonna finish off. We're gonna finish off with your Philadelphia Eagles, your Super Bowl champion.
The Eagles are obviously very talented, defending champions. Lost a lot of talent on defense, specifically on their pass rush, the defensive end, and at safety. So at pass rush, Josh Sweat is in Arizona. Milton Williams, who is their pass rush specialist as a defensive tackle, is in New England. Both got overpaid, but happy for them as individuals. And then in the secondary at safety, CJ Gardner Johnson got traded to the Texans. So they're trying to replace those players, and I'm not sure that they've done enough at either of them to be like they. I think they're going to take a step back at both of those positions this season. Sidney Brown or Andrew Makuba is going to step in at safety. I like Andrew Makuba. He's smaller, but is more of a like field general type safety where he's faster, more nimble. He's just small. He's like 185 pounds.
Mhm.
Sidney Brown is like a big rocked up cat who is probably better playing. He's like a Jamal Adams style safety, which means
Right.
that he probably should be playing linebacker at this point. Um,
He is now.
so I don't. And Jamal Adams is actually playing linebacker now for the Raiders. So that's an issue. They're also trying to replace Darius Slay, who went to the Steelers in free agency. Um, that's looking really dicey also. I'm actually going to say that the pass rush is their fatal flaw, though, because that's closer to the quarterback. That's closer to where the ball is. And to me, it's if you had to pick between having a strength and a weakness, I'd rather have the weakness be um, in the secondary and not on the defensive line in the pass rush. Even and this is also caveated by the fact that most of last year, the Eagles pass rush was not very good either. Like they really showed out in the Super Bowl, but that's kind of because Kansas City had a guard playing tackle in that game.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, obviously, Jalen Carter, he may be the best defensive tackle in the league at this point. We'll see about this upcoming season.
Chris Jones is
So they
just
right, but Chris Jones is like 32, so like he might be
Chris
getting
Jones is the
older
best. Like
as Jalen
he could be
Carter
he
is
could
coming
be
into,
second best. He could be the second best. I just want to because
or he takes over as best this season. He hasn't. I'm not saying he was. I agree. Chris Jones has been the best defensive tackle, either him or Dexter Lawrence for like the last like 3 or 4 seasons. But those guys getting old. At least Chris Jones getting old. But anyway, the Eagles obviously have talent on the team. I don't want it to sound like they're like at a talent deficit, even on defense. But I'm looking at the defensive ends and the pass rush in general as being their fatal flaw.
so from all the accounts that I've been hearing about the Eagles, not only were the people that they lost, like you got something back from them, and like now you can have more draft picks to replace
Yeah,
them.
top picks. Yeah,
Yeah.
but
So
that's next season. That's next season's draft. That's not that they don't have those picks right now.
so next year's draft. So like losing Josh Sweat and everything like that, that you got something back from all of them. So like they said you have like what was it like 23 picks in like the next like two drafts or something like that.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
something crazy.
you
That's what
do.
I'm saying. So it's like also from what I'm hearing, and you would know a little bit more than I know, but the guy Moro Ojomo,
Yeah,
they're like high on him. They're like him. He's like, you know what I mean? He's a difference maker, is what they're saying. So
yeah. What I'm hearing, what I've seen and heard, because I listen to all the like local podcasts and sports radio type stuff. He's really a pass rush specialist at the defensive tackle position, even more so than Milton Williams was. What I mean by that is he's really not tackling any running backs. He's not stopping the run at all. He's on the field on third and long situations. only, where Milton Williams could kind of play a little bit more first, second down if necessary, or third and short if necessary.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
yeah, he can get to the he's a pass rush specialist, but like he's not surprising anyone when he's on the field because we all it's a third and 11, and pass blocking is what everybody's doing anyway.
Right. And once again, I know you gotta be humble about your team because you don't just gotta tell everybody how great you are and stuff like that. But when I look at you, if you're right about that, you still are throwing out there like three pass rushers on a third and long, like every single time.
But look at who the pass rushers are. It's Nolan Smith, who is never he had like 6 sacks last year, which I thought was really good for him, because his strength is actually stopping the run stuff. Like he's not like a pass rush
Hmm.
specialist. And then it's Jalen Hunt, who 3 years ago was playing safety at Cornell. So
Hmm.
like I don't trust that he has made like some kind of big leap from first year to second year, because first year he didn't play a lot, and
Okay.
for good reason. He's still learning the position.
Okay. I just wanted to throw that out there when you say it's a problem. Like you still are throwing
Fair.
out three guys that I'm not saying it like people in the news are saying like if the guy Moro Ajomu is the third best one.
Then I think that's actually a problem, because that means like most of the even backup defensive ends who are also pass rush specialists are worse at that than this defensive tackle.
Okay. That's fair. That's fair. I just wanted to throw that out there, you know, just to make sure that that's clear that I saw that. But it doesn't look like anything's wrong with the Eagles. The Eagles are the
No,
roster
yeah,
of the Eagles.
they're the Eagles. Look, it's very hard to repeat, obviously. Um, I wouldn't put money on them repeating. I think they're either the best, the most talented, or the next second most talented roster in the league. But AJ Brown goes out for 3 games this year. I don't know that they survive. They're more top heavy than they were last year. There's less depth, which is what happens when your team goes to the Super Bowl and wins it. Like players get paid elsewhere. Like that's just what happens.
Okay, that sounds good. All right, we're gonna wrap this up. But I did want to share with you. I don't know if you saw on Instagram how many the likes that we got on the first episode that.
Mm, I didn't see.
So, hmm? So
I didn't see. No.
so on. So let's see. So the first one we got. So I put out three reels. The first one we got 80. We got 84 likes on the first one.
Okay.
Um, the second one we got 175 likes, and
The
then the
second one
third,
was one about the Chiefs.
yes,
Okay.
and then the third one we got 521 likes.
That's one about the Bengals.
Yes.
Yeah. That defensive line is gonna be a problem.
Yes, yes, yes. So all I say all that to say, listen, man, it's not even just me because I do say, but you blowing up too, man. I think all things
Blow
considered,
it
you
up.
might want to consider. Yeah, I think you have something here. Is all I've ever said. That's all I've ever said. I think you might have something here, man. You might want to jump on here. You see what I'm saying? Do your thing, and then you can come on do this thing, and then I'll come over there and do that thing. You see what I'm saying? It can work out. It can work out.
You can play it both sides. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm
You
saying.
see what you feel it. You
Uh,
see the vision.
just,
You see the vision.
just continue to give the people what they want. That's all we do.
I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you being a part of this journey, man, with me. So, with that said, we can wrap this whole thing up. We finished the Fatal Flaw series. We told every single team why you're not going to win the Super Bowl. Even the team that's going to win the Super Bowl, we still looked at them, and that's audacity right there. I'm looking you in your face, tell you why you ain't going to win the Super Bowl too, and you are going to win the Super Bowl. We didn't care. Tell them we didn't care.
We didn't care.
So we wrap this thing up. Once again, you can catch the full episodes on Spotify and YouTube. Catch the reels on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Listen, man, 500 likes on one reel is that's pretty big, man. That's all I'm gonna say. And with that said, you came in, you told every team about their fatal flaws and everything, and somehow you're gonna walk away and still have to get told to your face because you don't know football.
It bees like that sometimes.